Hi everyone, this is Natasha. I wanted to share with you my Your Paper Pantry ATCs for June, and there were only 3 groups. We know it's the summer, everyone's busy, and there's not quite as much participation, but the theme was camping, grandma's house, summer vacation. So I chose camping, and I really only did 2 variations, so one of the groups gets a mix of each. And what I used is a couple of quick cuts dies. This is the tent. It's a 2x2. There are 2 of these, one for the base layer and one for the tent cover in the door. And this camper one, which I use the tiny little add-on roller with no wheels, but I'll show you it in a second. Then I also used Sizzlet from Flowers and Grass. I think this was a it was a set of 4, and I don't remember the name of it. So I used that for the grass, and the flower shape I actually used for the sun. And then this Quick Cuts, which is a State of Connecticut. There you go, you can see that. So let me put those aside and I can show you what this started out with. So I used a Sizzix ATC die with, and I cut it the medium weight chipboard. And I don't know if any of you noticed, but some dies that have straight lines will have a slight variation. Like this one has a little divot here, and I always know that when I cut paper I need to match up my chipboard and my paper with the same little divot, and that's because the metal that's used to shape this has to start and end somewhere, and that's I think where the start and end is. So I start out with medium weight chipboard, and then I use this die cuts with a view paper from the green stack, which I thought was perfect for background for camping. It's all these little trees, and they're even dimensionally just the right scale for an ATC size. And standard ATC size is 2.5 by 3.5, so 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, not smaller and not larger. It was really based off of a standard deck of playing cards, something you could poke in your pocket. That's the whole point. So let me show you the layering. So I have the chipboard, and I have a layer of the die cuts with a view paper, which is, this is all I have left from both sheets from the stack, so that was perfect amount wise. And I have a little strip of grass, which was cut with this Sizzix or the Sizzlet, and then the sun is right here. And I used orange peel, sorry about the dogs, orange peel stickles on the sun, shiny. And then for the camp, or for the tent, I used orange and yellow, which were the 2 challenge colors, which were definitely a challenge for me because those are not colors I ordinarily reach for. But I definitely incorporated them because it makes sense to have a tent orange and yellow, because you want it to stand out. You don't want to accidentally get hunted in the woods. And then I used 2 of the cloud punches from Fiskars from a recent haul in light craft paper, and then over them I added this 3D washable Nicole glitter. You know, sometimes clouds can be iridescent, and I love, this is what reminds me totally of the summer. So you can have the sun shining and it could be drizzling, and it's still such a cool image. So I have the glitter glue on the clouds, and I was going to add some streak lines with glitter pen of the rain coming, but then I decided it would get lost because there's such a busy pattern in the background. So there's a little camping in the trees, and the tent door and the tent rain protector are on 1/8 inch, see if you could see them, 1/8 inch dimensional little pop dots, and these are on it's a 1/4 inch, a little thicker pop dots, so these are squares. And I could tell you that the paper, the different color paper, the different greens, yellows, and oranges are all from that Textura paper, which is actually basil cardstock, and I got all of those 6x6 stacks from scrapbook.com, which is where I also picked up all of these little quick cuts 2x2 dies, and these were $1 each, including the tent and the little camper. Oh, so the camper is on the back along with the State of Connecticut, which is where I live. And I don't know if you could tell what that little thing is. That's actually this itty bitty tiny little foot punch from Michael's former dollar spot, and it worked out perfectly because I didn't want to put a little star because that would denote that that's a capital. I don't live in the capital, I live in Ellington, so that's kind of where I foot around, I don't know. And there's the little camper, and I cut the camper by placing a piece of foil tape, this stuff, from my local junk store. And I know I got a lot of questions about this when I showed a technique not long ago. This tape is very expensive. It's on the expensive side if you go to your hardware store, but you should definitely check out your dollar store because you might have a smaller amount. You definitely don't need whatever 50 yards, whatever's on this larger spools. I was lucky and I was able to pick it up at my junk store before it was going out of business, and I know that in the local hardware store it's almost $8, so it is definitely on the expensive side, but definitely check the dollar store. So it's foil tape and it's adhesive on one side, so all I did is I ran it on a piece of white cardstock and then ran that through the die, through my Cuttlebug machine with a little camper die. So it just reminds me of those tiny little Airstreams. So there's my little foot in the yellow cardstock, and I just used refuse for that, and then the state of Connecticut. So I just thought that was kind of cute. And the cards that went out have my business card with each of the swaps information. Now I was in all 3 of the groups, but as I had mentioned, I only made 2 variations, so I have an extra card to give away. So if you leave a comment, thumbs up, share your summer experience. What's the most memorable summer experience that you can remember from childhood? I'll draw one winner to receive one of my little extra ATCs, and then I want to share a bonus with you. These cute little state of Connecticut images, I cut them out, but after cutting them out, I had all the negatives left over, and I thought, there's no way I'm going to throw this out. There has to be a way for me to do something with them, and I did. I made tiny little enclosure cards. So all I did, let's see if you can see it. What I did is I went out and Googled my town name to get some maps. I got a overall map, an aerial view, and a street map. And I just printed them on plain printer paper. Took one of these little images just like this because I had trimmed them down to 2x2, added adhesive, and placed them over the image. Let me show you what the images look like. So here's the 3 maps that I found. So I took this little negative and then just glued it on top of that and then trimmed around it and then placed it on some pattern, some colored paper on a little folded 2x2 card, which just so happens fits inside one of these little envelopes. So now I have little enclosure cards, and these did not go out with the ATCs, but these are for little giveaways or whatever. They fit inside these little envelopes, so I just thought it was a cute little way to upcycle the negatives, because I certainly don't want to hand cut all of this, but it was already cut for me, so I just thought it was kind of a cute little share. So there you go, there are my Your Paper Pantry ATCs for the June swap. They're in the mail to everyone already. I'll have a video separately of all the ATCs that I received, along with the goodies that the girls sent to me, which I always appreciate. So if you have any questions for me about any of the products that I use or any of the processes, please leave me a comment. I did do a separate video showing how I add the tiny little dimensionals. I think I posted that the other day. So if you have any questions for me, please leave me a comment. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. And don't forget, stop by yourpaperpantry.ning.com. It's only $12 a year. That's $1 a month. And the swaps are plentiful and diverse, and the swappers are conscientious and nice and full of talent. So I welcome you to stop by. Roxy runs a really good show. Thanks for watching, everyone.